Okay, let's begin. So, this next section is to talk about your favorite part of the DODL lesson plan. So, first, we're going to start off introducing what our lesson plan was. So, our content standard was 3.2. Students describe the American Indian nations in their local region long ago and in the recent past. And that was, we had section 2. Discuss the ways in which physical geography, including climate, influenced how the local Indian nations adapted to their natural environment, how they obtained food, clothing, tools, etc. Our learning objective, HSS 3.2.2. Scholars will be able to discuss how physical geography and climate influenced how the local Indian nations adapted to their natural environment through a summary or report or blog with at least 6 facts. The level of blooms applied in our learning objective was evaluate. Now, we're moving on to my favorite part of the lesson plan. This is the part where I feel the class was most engaged and we were able to hit the marks we needed to. I chose to discuss exploration. So during exploration, we introduced a matching game to the class. We began by asking the questions such as, right here, what are some natural resources that the Yoka tribe used to make clothing and tools? This question was an introduction to the game that we would later be playing. Possible responses were tool reeds, marsh grass that was used for the clothing and the baskets. Seeds were mashed up for food. Then we scroll down to where we started the game. So right here, this was after all flashcards had been passed out. When I say go, you and your group will each help each other match the image of the resources to its function. Ready, go. We gave them about 10 minutes, and I believe during the actual lesson facilitation, we cut it down to about 3 to 5 minutes. It did not take long for the class to match all their images. So we had teachers 1, 2, and 3 walk around observing answers and conversations. So I want to touch on this part really quick. So we were in line with what the teacher does during the exploration part. We observed and we listened to the students' reasoning behind their choices. We walked around, and the video shows us walking around and engaging in conversations with the students, asking them how they came to pair up the image to the other image. We wanted to know what were their strategies, what were they thinking, how did they work together in large groups or in small groups to make connections and use those context clues to match the images together. We then move on to the student part. So this was, in my opinion, engaging for the students because the teacher was facilitating student exploration. The students are using a hands-on activity to learn. It's not just pencils and papers. This is them working together, critical thinking. Some students were using prior knowledge if they recognize these images from other sources. So the students did participate in a matching game. They received the cards with the images of their natural resources, and their instructions were to match them to their source. What were they used for? The activity allowed for a student-centered approach. Each group had about 5 to 6 flashcards as they conducted their hands-on investigations. The students did question each other when matching images. So the students worked together and they questioned each other's perspective, and that allowed them to gain more knowledge that maybe some students didn't know. We use UDL in terms of vision. We had a separate stack of flashcards and it contained the images in a larger size and provided a larger font. Some of the flashcards did have the wording behind, not all of them. Unfortunately, we did not get to all of them. And we also provided a timer. We did do about 3 to 5 minutes for students to work in that collaborative setting. Overall, this was my favorite section we did. I feel like as a group we definitely worked together, even with our whole class discussion after. It was very informative for the students. So the whole class discussion allowed for students to kind of draw back on what they had just learned. For example, this question: what happens if a resource is impacted and is no longer available? We paused, we gave the class time to discuss that on their own. This allowed them to see if one thing gets taken out, it kind of makes the entire pyramid fall. So they were able to think back on the importance of natural resources.